Right, everybody, let's get into our first session. And today I would like to just show you how I'm going to be mixing pastel colors so that you don't have to go out and buy your own. Now, before we get started, I've lit my little unicorn here, and I'm just going to light a candle and just set some intention that the unicorns be with us and inspire us and help us to be true to ourselves, help us not to worry, and help us not to get angry, to be diligent in our work, and to be kind to every living being, including ourselves, right? So I did say I was going to draw us a unicorn card with every session. So I want to be true to my word. So if you're watching this video and you are going to paint unicorns along with me, and this card might speak to you. If it does, then claim it as a message from the unicorns for you. And if you don't resonate with it, that's okay. Then just move along. But I am going to just set the intention to draw a card every time, and let's see what landed on top. Closeness, number 5. Your unicorn is so very close to you. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, it's just like the unicorns are answering us and saying, yes, we are here and we are here to support you. So let's read what the author intended. Closeness. This card tells you that your unicorn is close to you. Allow yourself to relax into its love and trust that your wise and beautiful spiritual companion is helping you. An affirmation: I know my unicorn is close to me. I know my unicorn is close to me. I know my unicorn is close to me. Isn't that beautiful? Now I'm going to put that there so that I can see that and be reminded that we are never alone. Right. So for today's session, like I said, I'm going to just show you guys how to mix beautiful pastel tones. I mean, literally these ones are all finished. There's some left in some of these tubes. But instead of going out and buying more, I want to create my own higher quality pastel tones and metallic tones that I can use myself. So I've got all of the colors that I discussed in my art supply list here. So just check out the first video on this playlist, and in there I will show you exactly what it is that I'm going to use in order to make pastel tones. Now that first one was just a beautiful violet, and now I'm just getting a little bit of the cobalt blue, and I'm just dispensing it here on my mixing palette because I want to just get it all out in one go, and then we can get into mixing. So I'm just going down the rainbow, literally using my palette knife to just dispense some paint. Isn't this exciting, you guys? Oh my word, I've been sort of inspired since last year to get into painting a unicorn and having fun with unicorn energy. I know when we did the unicorn in painting in the park last year, it was quite a hit with young and old, and it's always fun to learn something about the unicorns and to sort of just surround yourself with people that, you know, number one, believe in unicorns, or, you know, don't mind playing with unicorn energy. I think it really unlocks the inner child. It brings the inner child forward, and there's lots of healing that can take place. And I think part of our adult problems is that we forgot that we have an inner child, and that inner child is directly connected with our intuition and our subconscious mind. And when we start nurturing our inner child and healing our inner child, then you know, magical, beautiful things begin to happen for us. As far as our mental health is concerned, I do believe that. Okay, so I'm just going to dispense some titanium white next to each of these little blobs, because this is just going to be a demo. I'm not actually going to paint now, so I don't want to waste any paint. And then I'm also going to just put out a little bit of this pearl white so that you guys can see what amazing effects this metallic pigment can give us. Let me get a brush, and I think I'm just going to use this little square brush for the lack of anything better. I'm just going to activate my brush with a bit of water and just make sure, yeah, that's okay. Is this my clean water? It looks a little bit tainted with watercolor. That looks better. Okay. Always have a kitchen towel handy so that you can control the water on your brush. And I've just got some ordinary office paper here upon which I will do some swatching. Okay. Now let's begin with this violet, and I'm just going to load my brush with some violet, and I'm going to just paint it on here. And I'm sort of just going to create a little bit of a color swatch for myself so that I can see what is possible. Okay, so let's first play with the white. Now, for a pastel color, you're probably going to need about that much white and about the amount of color that's on my brush here, and you're going to mix them in together. I always say you need very, very little pigment to stain your white and to create a nice pastel kind of color that you like. So you can see I literally use what was in the brush. I'm just going to roll my brush and let all that pigment come out. And this is going to give us a beautiful, soft, pastel-y lavender kind of color. So you understand now when I say you're going to use mostly white to create these soft pastel-y tones. And there you have it. So let's put the purple here next to the full pigment. And we're going to see how this dries. And then you can even decide if you want to make it any lighter. Now I'm going to make this a little bit metallic by adding this pigment that I've made here to this metallic paint. This is called a pearl white. And if you want a pastel metallic, I would suggest that you add the pearl at the end. And we're going to see the difference shortly as I paint it here next to each other. So adding the pearl white will give it a slightly brighter finish, and you will see as well when it dries that it has a pearlesque finish to it, whereas the color next to it is going to be completely opaque. Okay, so I'm going to rinse my brush, and I'm just going to get rid of the excess pigment there, because I also want to mix a bright purple with the metallic color. So when you mix a white into your color, it is called a tint. So that is a lighter version of your color. But here you will now see the tinting strength of the pearl white is not as high as titanium white. But it will give you a beautiful pearlesque kind of finish to your color that will give you a pretty shine. I don't know if you guys can see. I hope you can. So there we go. So now I'm going to go ahead, clean my brush. So if you're going to mix colors like this, always make sure that your brush is completely clean before you switch to another color. Otherwise, you will contaminate your colors. Now, you can pre-mix these colors and put them in little cups with lids that you can seal, and then you've got a whole container of color pre-mixed ready for you to roll, so that when you start painting, you don't have to stand there mixing colors for hours. You can literally just work from that tube and get into it. Let's get into our cobalt blue. Beautiful, happy blue. I'm going to use what's left on my brush to make a nice lighter blue by mixing it into my titanium white. And that's going to give us a beautiful sky baby blue color. That's a lovely pastel. Okay. And now I'm going to use that pearl white into this to create a pastel metallic. It's nice and creamy. I'm going to rinse out. And I'm going to use some of this to make a stronger metallic version. I didn't leave myself a lot of place to mix here, but that's okay. Right, so here we have a metallic version. Beautiful. I'm going to wipe and rinse my brush. Let's do the same with the green. I'm going to load the green on my brush. You can see how much I've loaded there. I'm going to paint my green. And what's left on my brush, I'm going to bring into that amount of white to mix a beautiful light green pastel. Now obviously you can intermix even further and create beautiful turquoises by putting this green and this blue together. That's always a choice. Oh, isn't that just lovely? Pastel colors is so uplifting. Let's make a metallic version of that. I'm going to wipe off. And I'm going to bring a bit of this pearl white into the green. And make a nice metallic green. Awesome. Very peacocky colors, aren't they? Very bright. So that would be on the cool side of the spectrum of our color wheel. I'm just going to get another kitchen towel. This one is now saturated. So here we go. So let me put the color wheel here next to our little endeavor. And you will see how it matches the cool side of the spectrum. Let me have a sip of coffee. Okay, now let's move into the yellow. Same story. I'm going to load up my brush with the light yellow. And if you don't have light yellow available, I mean medium yellow, cad yellow is fine. It will actually give you a lot more tinting strength. But I really want a very light pastel yellow. I just think it looks more playful and fun, and but work with whatever you have available to you, and I'm sure you'll get similar and beautiful results. So I'm just gonna make my color swatch here. Oh, isn't that amazing how it pops off the white of the canvas? Let's make a metallic version of that. I'm going to wipe off my brush, excess pigment, give it a rinse. It's okay if there's still a little bit there. I'm going to just bring in the pearl white straight into the yellow to create a metallic. And there we have it. Alrighty, let's get into our orange. Loading my brush with some orange. And now taking that into my white. To create a beautiful glowing pastel color. In fact, I feel this one is still a little bit bright, but you can always add more white if you want to go lighter. Right, let's make it a metallic. Let's wipe off the excess pigment. I know this is the boring stuff, guys, but it's very important to know these things, because then I don't have to explain this while we are painting. I can just mix and use, knowing that you guys will completely understand how I got there by watching this video. So I sort of preempting wasting unnecessary time on tutorials inside tutorials. So let's do one mixing tutorial, and then, you know, it's easy peasy for the rest of the painting month, so that we all know what is happening. Now that is the carmine red. I'm going to take some off, and I want it that vibrant. I really want a pastel. And this is also why I like the carmine red, because it makes the most beautiful ice cream pink. Now there's a little bit of orange still left in my brush, so it's not a true mix. You can see what I mean with making sure your brush is clean. But anyway, we like that color. Isn't it pretty? Okay, I need to dispense a little bit more of this pearl. And you don't need a lot, hey? You can decide, you don't need to add all container to get the effect. A little bit goes a long way. Just mix it in very well. And trust me, when it's dry, you will see that pearly finish in your paint. Let's wipe off the excess. Rinse that white out. That's why I always have 2 buckets of water. One is for rinsing and one is for just having clean water available. Let's take all of the zinc white here. That looks pretty. So you can see it sort of gives it a little bit of a translucency because it's diluting the pigment. But that looks fabulous. Now I want to show you guys one more thing that I feel can be helpful, and that is to know how to mix a glaze. Now this is where my acrylic matte glazing medium comes in, and I'm going to show you guys how you can create a glaze with your color by using your glazing medium. So I'm going to just use a little bit of my violet pigment here, and I'm going to add a little bit of glaze to it, and you can immediately begin to see how it dilutes my color to give me transparency. So that's a lot of transparency that we have there, and that in itself over white gives me a different kind of pastel effect. But this is one way that you can always manipulate your color, enrich your color, adding more color without losing everything underneath. Opacity is sometimes an enemy when you want to layer a lot of colors over each other, because some colors are more opaque than others. And you can see the opacity of your color on your tube. It should show you somewhere what the opacity is of your color. If I look at my color tube here at the bottom, there's a little circle that is divided in half with half white and half see-through. So that shows me this is a 50-50% transparent color. If it is a complete full circle, all of these are half transparent. Let me just see. There's a full color dot. That means this is a high opacity, meaning it will cover completely. So here I've created from a high opaque color by using the glaze, I've created something that is more transparent. So I'm just going to run through all of these. Let's add a little bit of green here. You can see before I add the glaze, it sort of covers that palette. And when I start to add the glazing medium in there, you can begin to see the palette shining through. So that is a glaze, very see-through. So glazes are powerful little mixtures that help you to completely change or manipulate your color. Now yellow is very translucent by itself, but it can be even more translucent if you add your glazing medium. See how bright that is, but you can see the paper shining through. Let's do that with the orange as well. You can see before, you can barely see the palette, and the minute you add a glazing liquid, it also opens the drying time a little bit more, so it can give you a few more minutes mixing time. But it is just acrylic medium, which means it's exactly the same as the paint. It's just there's no pigment in there. It's a translucent or a open medium that I haven't added pigment to. But so it's exactly the same as the paint, just minus the pigment. Oh, lovely orange. Let's do that with a red. You can see the brush marks through the paint. That's very translucent. Alrighty then. So guys, I hope that helps you understanding how to create the pastels that you might want to use in your mixtures, and how to create a glaze from your paints using acrylic matte medium. And now hopefully you will see, if I hold this up to the paper and sort of just move it to the light, that all the colors that I've added with a metallic finish now has a shine to it that is really pretty. So up close and personal, I will also turn the camera around so I can see what you see and come in close for you guys and share that with you. So I will really recommend that you do this as an exercise. Get your paints out, get your pearl white out, get your titanium white, and just do a bit of a mixing exercise, especially if you're new to painting, so that you can see how you can make colors a little bit lighter. And you can do the same exercise by adding your paints gray or even black. Just a warning, when you do it with your paints gray or your black, you literally need like a needle's head amount of your gray or black into your pigment in order to begin to tone it down and make it darker. So you can have exactly the same exercise. Another thing you can do is you can also see how light you can go by mixing more white into these mixtures and create a super light pastel version of your color, and that will give you a lot of variety. Another exercise to do is to maybe see what would happen if you mix some of these colors together, especially the analogous ones that lie next to each other on the color wheel. I would, be mindful to mix an opposite color into there unless you want a bit of a neutral, because opposite colors will always neutralize each other and begin to give you more of a neutral color. That's sometimes something, a trick that we use in order to enhance a shadow without making it necessarily too dark or too flat. So that's just some of the tips I'd like to give you. I hope you're going to enjoy mixing your colors. Like I say, you can really pre-mix your colors if you don't have tubes full of pastel colors that is ready to go. And then when you need that color, you can just open your little container and dispense the amount that you need. And that will also give you some color consistency during your painting. I hope this was a helpful video and a session. I'm looking forward to sharing with you guys in our next episode as we go into our unicorn painting a little bit deeper. So enjoy. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye for now. So I just wanted to come in close and just give you guys a bit of a better glimpse with this little pearlescent finish. You can see that very nicely on the purple. It's got a nice shine to it. So obviously if you mix in a little bit more of the pearl, you will get even more of a metallic finish. So that's why I say you have to play with your colors in order to see which mixture you prefer, how metallic you want it, and then enjoy it from there.